Hello everyone, I am S.V. Subanu pursuing BA Computer Science in CSE Institute of Technology. In this video, we are going to see about the basics of the neural network. As you all see this video, which organ in your body is thinking about it? Yeah, it's our brain. But do you know how the brain works? Well, it has the neurons or the nerve cells that are the primary unit of both the brain and the nervous system. These neurons receive a sensory input from the outside world, which they process and then produce the output, which might act as the input to the next neural network. The neural network is a method in artificial intelligence that teaches the computer to process the data in a way that is inspired by the human brain. The artificial neural networks contains the artificial neurons which are called units. These units are arranged in the series of layers that together constitute the whole artificial neural network in the system. A layer can have only a dozen of units or a millions of units, as this depends on how complex the neural network will be required to learn the hidden patterns in the dataset. It is a type of machine learning process called deep learning that uses the interconnected nodes or the neurons in the layered structure that resembles the human brain. The machine learning algorithm of two types, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. The neural network comes under the supervised learning. The architecture of the neural network is made up of an input, output, and a hidden layer. There are many components to the neural network architecture. Each neural network has a few components in common. Input. The input is the data that is put into the model for learning and the training process. Weight. The weight helps organize the variable by importance and the impact of the contribution. There are two important functions in the neural network. One, the transfer function, and another one is activation function. The transfer function is when all the inputs are summarized and combined into one output variable. The role of the activation function is to decide whether or not a specific neuron should be activated. This decision is based on whether or not a neuron's input will be important to the prediction process. Bias. The bias shifts the values given by the activation function. The working model of the neural network. For example, suppose you want to teach an ANN to recognize a dog. Then it is shown the thousands of different images of dog so that the network can learn to identify a dog. Once the neural network has been trained enough using the images of the dogs, then you need to check if it is identifies the dog image correctly. This is done by making an ANN classifies the image. It is provided by deciding whether they are cat image or not. The output obtained is by human provided description of whether the image is cat image or not. If ANN identifies incorrectly, then back proportion is used to adjust whatever it has learned during the training. The back proportion is done by fine tuning the weight of the connections in ANN unit based on the error rate obtained. This process continues until the artificial neural network can correctly recognize the cat in the image with a minimal possible error rate. The types of the neural network: feed forward neural network, convolutional neural network, and recurrent neural network. The data or the input provided travels in the single direction. It enters into the ANN through the input layer and exists through the output layer, while the hidden layer may or may not exist in a feedback neural network. Does not have any back proportion. The convolutional neural network has some similarities to the feed-forward neural network, where the connection between the units have weights that determines the influence of the one unit on the another unit. But CNN has one or more than one convolutional layer that uses the convolutional operation on the input and then passes the result obtained in the form of output to the next layer. The CNN has an application in speech and image processing, which is particularly used in a computer vision. The recurrent neural network saves the output of the layer and feeds this output back to the input to better predict the output of the layer. This first layer in RNN is quite similar to the feed-forward neural network, and the recurrent neural network starts once the output of the first layer is computed. After this layer, each unit will remember some information from the previous step so that it can act as the memory cell in performing the computation. The applications of the neural network. Social media. For example, let us take the people you may know in futures on Facebook that suggest the people that you might know in the real life so that you can send them the friend request. Well, this magical effect is achieved by using the artificial neural network that analyzes your profile, your interest, your current friends, and also their friends and various other factors to calculate the people you might potentially know. Marketing. When you log on to the e-market sites like Amazon, Flipkart, they will recommend you the products to buy based on the previous browsing history. It is done by implementing the personalized marketing. This uses the artificial neural network to identify the customer likes, dislikes, previous shopping history, etc., and then tailors the marketing campaign accordingly. The artificial neural networks are used in conlog, that is healthcare, to train the algorithms that can identify the cancer tissues at the microscopic level at the same accuracy as trained physicians. The various rare disease may manifest in the physical characteristics and can be identified in their premature stages by using the facial analysis on the patient photos. Personal assistant. I'm sure you all heard of the Siri, Alexa, etc., and also hear them based on the phones you have. These are the personal assistants and the examples of the speech recognition that uses the natural language processing to interact with the users and formulate a response accordingly. Advantages of the neural network. The neural network can implement the tasks that our linear program cannot. A neural network can determine and does not require to be reprogrammed. It can be executed in any applications. The disadvantages of the neural network are it need to be trained to operate. It need high processing time for big neural network. Thank you.